Hey folks, it's Mike Ryan, and if you're watching our show, you've probably known your boy has undergone a little bit of a body transformation, and I gotta tell you, Peloton has helped me on my fitness journey. It got the ball rolling for me because I watch my wife on the Peloton. She takes all these great classes. She has her favorite instructors. I listen to the music. I'm a big music guy. It gets me fired up, makes me want to take part in this fitness phenomenon known as Peloton. Peloton offers a variety of challenging classes, from 4-week strength building classes to running, cycling, and everything in between. Peloton will help you achieve your goals, and maybe you'll have some fun along the way. I know I have. It's backed by thousands of members whose lives have been changed. Be part of that group. Telling you, I'm better for it. Have it in my office. Sometimes I can put on the baseball game. Sometimes I can put on a soccer match. Some other times I'm totally locked in on an emo playlist. Find your push. Find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo. Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
Shadowing it.
I was told that Stugotz has recovered from his toothache, and I was also told that he had a flight in this morning. Unfortunately, I was told that that flight was delayed. And so Greg Cody has rushed in, Amin El-Hassan has rushed in. Greg Cody is happy to say that he has Stugotz's exclusive thoughts on the first round of the draft. What are you laughing about?
No, I mean, they are. It's a big deal. I mean, you know, Mr. God Bless Football is...
one of the misters on God Bless Football.
One of the misters, of course, with Billy. They're a dynamic duo.
Well, one of the many misters. They've got a whole slew of misters on God Bless Football. The entire Gronk family is on God Bless Football.
Yeah, we know who the stars are, though.
There are many, many misters.
Right, that's true.
But he is on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody. The latest episode.
Yes, he is. Just came out today. Pick it up. Pick it up like a newspaper. Read it. Look at it on YouTube. Whatever you like to do. Do it till you're satisfied.
Greg, I have an idea. You heard of tablets? You know about tablets?
Like
he was
the
around.
pill that you swallow?
No. He was around during the original 10 Commandments that were written on them.
Well, you know, like now, like laptops, tablets, like the tablet you have in front of you. I think, and this is a business opportunity I'd love to go in with you on if we can make it happen, because I feel like you're the face of this product.
Sure.
Foldable tablets with screens on all sides of it. And every one is like a newspaper. So like you have one page on the front side, then you open it up, you have a new page, a new page, a new page on the back.
I like that.
Then when you're done with that, open it again, 4 more pages, refresh.
That's a beautiful idea. I'm gonna add, because I'm an idea man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna layer this idea with this. There has to be the sound of riffling paper.
Yes.
The sound of a newspaper page being turned.
Yeah, there has to be the sound in the top corner, a little kind of like ink pad. So when you turn it, your fingers are dirty from turning the page.
Man, you get me.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Get to work on that, will you?
All right.
Yeah. Call the patent office.
I know I have told you guys this story before, but to me, it's like my favorite journalism is dying story. A 10-year-old son of a friend of mine walks into a Sunday breakfast nook with his 10-year-old friend, and my friend is physically reading a newspaper. And the 10-year-old, his friend, says to my friend, "What is that?" when someone is holding a newspaper. And that question is great by itself. But the next question is the killer, which was, how did it get here? And so when my friend said, a kid on a bicycle threw yesterday's news in the bushes, like the 10-year-old's response was some form of, "You're shitting me." Like your father's a prankster. There's no way that's how they got here. That there's just no way that was in the basket of some 12-year-old kid who then threw it in the bushes. That's not a thing that was worth a quarter back in the day.
Foul mouth on that 10-year-old.
Seriously.
Who's raising that kid? Jeez Louise.
I said the equivalent of it.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're surviving.
Newspapers are so damn expensive now. I went to get one as a prop for a video that I had to do for DoorDash. One paper, and it was akin to a pamphlet. It was 2 sections, and then the second section, the first page was the sports section, and then inside was like culture and everything else. It has to have been maybe, and shout out to all the people who are still writing for newspapers. I love and respect you all, but it was maybe like 22 pages total. The thing was like a pamphlet, $3 for a like Wednesday newspaper. Yeah, $3. It was insane.
Greg Cody just got done saying they're surviving. Are they?
Well, the print edition is not. The online edition, the digital edition, is not. I didn't say thriving. I said surviving.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Are newspapers surviving? Because I don't believe they're surviving right now. I believe they're dying.
Well, but when you say newspapers, if you mean that literally, if you mean the print edition that is still thrown onto lawns, I would agree with you.
Okay, well, I'm starting there, but that's the beginning of the death. Like that's the diagnosis is the patient is terminal. The patient is dying.
The problem is, like, newspapers, people don't understand how versatile they are. You think a newspaper is just to read news. No. Newspapers are to put down when you're painting things, to pack things with. You can use newspapers for almost anything. In fact, I would argue I've used newspapers for more things than I've read newspapers. I don't think that I've read as many newspaper articles as I've used newspapers to do 1,000 other things. We can't lose. We're losing recipes, people. We're losing newspapers. We can't let this die. But I'm not paying $3 for it. Crazy.
No, I agree. You got a bird? Put a Greg Cody column on the bottom of the cage.
There you go.
It's like magic.
That's still a thing that people put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. Are people still using newspapers in their bird cage? Because I'm thinking it's hard to get the newspaper to do that. You can get something cheaper than $3 to do that.
I had a bird, Polly, running out of newspapers. Couldn't put Greg Cody at the bottom of the cage. You know what that bird became? An upset bird.
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
What are you smirking about?
I caught myself worrying way too much about the positioning of my thermos bottle and whether or not my Greg Cody Show decal would show on your air. I really shouldn't be, that worried about it. But what can I tell you?
Let's get a thermometer in here. Does he have a fever? Greg Cody felt self-aware about self-promotion.
I did. Yeah.
But he was just smiling to himself, thinking about how self-involved he was. Like, I was starting the show, and I was about to say, I've got too much to talk about. I'm not going to be able to get to all of the things just in basketball from the weekend, never mind everything else. And I imagine that a lot today is still covering Shedeur Sanders, so I'm stuck in a situation where not merely am I miserable because I have to talk about people who were drafted. That's the first time I've ever seen a draft become about the guy who wasn't drafted. Like, I've seen guys drop, but I have never before seen that. I'm not allowed to play the clip from Bill Burr. None of us have seen that precipitous a drop. I think all of us would have argued that being Deion Sanders' son would help, right up until it didn't. Because all things being equal, it did not help. It's one of the factors. There are a bunch. Like, a lot of people are going to want to cite only one factor. There are a bunch when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. But Bill Burr, I can't play the clip, but he does a bit. You have the sound. I can't play the video, but you have the sound. All right, so rather than me saying it, why don't you go ahead and play the sound?
You know what? That's what you get for watching the draft. All right? Now, once again, what kind of a loser just sits there watching round after round. The Jets are up next. I think they need a cornerback. They need to improve the defensive line. Dude, that's like going to a graduation ceremony where you don't know anybody who's graduating and just fucking sitting there. They're gonna have the whole list the next day. They'll have everybody who drafted, who, when. Gotta sit there and watch that shit. Those stupid interviews. Hey, you're a member of the Buffalo Bills. How does it feel?
Well, it's a blessing. I want to thank God. I'm going to try to do my best. It's a great organization. And I was saying the last 80 guys said. So, yeah.
I don't like the draft, and I'm not going to make this show about that. But I do want to ask the question seriously at Le Batard Show. Are human beings better at evaluating horses than football players? Because Mel Kiper is associated by name with knowing how to do this one thing. And he spent 41 hours on television with Shedeur Sanders as his best available prospect. And his anger is born not of anything other than, I'm right, the NFL is wrong. This happens a lot. It's the same reason for Skip Bayless's anger. It has something to do with Stephen A. Smith's anger. Like, the media does not like being wrong about something. And so you get an emotional response to that wrong that is Mel Kiper making Reese Davis insane. Let's play some just sound of Mel Kiper trying to basically argue that he knows more than everyone in the NFL about evaluating prospects.
The NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. Clueless. They have no idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that.
How many
they say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterback? They don't.
He ended one segment by saying he was just totally disgusted. And let's just play the sound where he gets Reese Davis mad. I've never seen Reese Davis mad on television. This was like seeing a Macy's mannequin get furious.
But Mel, the draft has spoken.
That's right. That's the key, Mel. It's not putting a value judgment on whether those who passed were right or wrong. They did.
Yep.
So now, whenever you're in circumstances in life, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether they're fair or whether they're unfair, you might have to deal with them.
That's
and
right.
now Shedeur Sanders has to deal with it.
Everything.
And for whatever reason, whether he played a minute, microscopic percentage, 0%, or it's a legitimate criticism of the way he conducted himself during the draft process, this was the result.
Yeah.
Now he has an opportunity to answer it. I think yelling at the NFL about it is not productive.
Feels like they pushed a button on Shedeur Sanders, right? Like the call came from up top?
This is what Stephen A. Smith is arguing as collusion. I would say when people are confused, and we all are, because this is something we're doing that's really subjective, really unscientific. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. We do not know what we're doing when it comes to this evaluation, and I am serious about being able to measure a horse's ability to succeed better than whether an NFL prospect is going to succeed.
Dan, do you remember my first ever hit on the Dan Le Batard Show?
Yes.
I thought it was about Goran Dragic.
No. The first ever hit I had, I was driving from Bristol to Boston to go to a game, and there was a player for the Miami Heat who had taken the world by storm. His name was Hassan Whiteside. And Dan Le Batard said, get this, and Sedano says this guy knows basketball. So let's get Sedano's guy on the line. So he calls up. I'm Sedano's guy, and he said, how is this possible? How are all these people evaluating players for a living, and how did they all miss him? How was he in Lebanon in the YMCA? How, Amin? And I said, Dan, the kid was an asshole. And you were like, what? Well, I didn't say asshole. I said jackhole because we were on ESPN radio. So then I explained, I said, the talent is undeniable, but I told the story from pre-draft where there was a coach that asked them, what do you need to do to get better at the next level? And Hassan Whiteside said nothing. He didn't say anything. He said the answer, nothing. And the coach said, I get it, you're confident, we're all confident, but everyone's working. Everyone's trying to get better. Hell, Kobe Bryant's the best player in the league. He's working every day trying to get better. What do you need to get better at? And Hassan Whiteside said, nothing. Yeah. And so the coach loses his temper and says, oh, so you're just effing perfect, right? And Hassan Whiteside says, pretty much. Ladies and gentlemen, That's how you fall in a draft. If that, and I don't know what Shedeur Sanders did or didn't do in his pre-draft interviews, but when you look at the talent, you say, okay, he's got the talent, but then you counterbalance it with A, the record was all right, not great, not awful, but just all right, and then B, like you how you comport yourselves in these situations. They matter, and I would imagine in the NFL world it matters even more because they really don't like eccentric personalities over there. And so I don't know what he did or said. Maybe it was mild. But I have an idea that when 30 teams pass over you once, or 32 teams pass over you once, twice, 3 times, 4 times,
yeah,
it must have been something that you said that was pretty egregious.
No. It can be and things that you said, but Ryan Leaf was drafted very high, and everyone knew what the problems were, and then became addiction problems on top of that. If you have the talent, the arm talent, Jeff George was an asshole. Everybody knew Jeff George was an asshole. It doesn't matter if you actually have the arm talent. The thing that makes it really hard with Shedeur Sanders, a number of things make it hard. Took more sacks than any other college quarterback. Now, I happen to know that that's because his offensive line stunk, but I cannot untangle all of the do-si-doing and running around in circles that he tried to do, extending plays with slow throw times, and he's not Kyler Murray, and he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not that kind of athlete. So you have that over there. You also have what Amin is saying, which is you can't be that cocky if everyone who's interviewing you knows you're not that good. Like that, the coaches were not surprised by him dropping in that draft. But to me, the part that is most worth examining on what happened here is why the disconnect between how and why so many people in the media were telling us that this was going to be someone who was drafted second or third as a quarterback to falling into the 5th round. Why the disconnect between what the media was telling us and what actually happened that ended up with all of the experts being confused? Coaches were not surprised that he fell. Everyone was surprised that he fell that much.
I mean, did you see? I mean, they're just reports and not confirmed, but how some of the meetings went, because like they were pretty comical. Like, and we don't know that this is real, but the reports were that he went in, he had headphones on, he had music playing the entire time. They were around his neck, so they weren't over his ears. He had an entourage come with him. They asked him things like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And he'd say things like, "I'm going to be the mayor." And then they would just kind of like his entourage would laugh at him. Supposedly the one with the Giants went very poorly, even though Dable came out. I think the thing, beyond everything else is there's only a handful of teams that needed a starting quarterback, right? And once Pittsburgh elected not to get him, really once the Giants went with Jackson Dart, it became a thing of, okay, well, he could beat Pittsburgh, maybe next round. Then Pittsburgh didn't get him, and then it became a fall. And when you didn't bring him in to be the starting quarterback, then every team who either interviewed with or didn't interview with, or his dad said he wouldn't want to play for, or whatever, how much are you going to invest in someone to be your backup quarterback that you don't really know what you're going to get if he's tanking the interviews?
It wasn't just the physical limitations. It wasn't just the entourage. It was that if you draft Shedeur Sanders, you're drafting Dion and all that circus.
The Hall of Famer, Dion?
The Hall of Famer,
The Hall of Famer who's better than any of your coaches at football.
Yeah, but you're not drafting Dion to come coach your team or play for your team.
You're drafting
Dion in a LeVar Ball role.
All right, be a leader. Be a tough leader. And can you handle Dion or not? Like, you can't handle a dad coach?
But Dan, like, you're asking for, like, the Giants, for example, where Daboll is about to lose his job to gamble his future career on Shedeur Sanders. And if they butted heads in the interview, why would he do that?
And then this is true in every sport. We'll put up with as much as your talent dictates. Yeah. He's good. Is he that kind of story good? Bring in the headphones. That's my point. Like, there are guys like, yeah, he's a hell of a player. But it's like, if you come in acting like that, you better be the LeBron James of this. And I think he's not the LeBron James of college football last year. He wasn't. So it has to be commiserate on some level, and especially in that sport and especially at that position where they're like, this person's supposed to be a leader. even if he is great, like, how can I have a leader who comes and makes a mockery of things? Again, that's allegedly, because we don't really know what happened. The funny thing, Billy, of all the stories I heard, the Dayball one is the one that sounds the realest. All the other ones sound like they're just trumped up kind of.
I mean, it's all speculation, right? Because none of the teams are going to confirm any of this, because what's the point of it when you're going through a draft and
they'll do it anonymously.
Well, but even that, there's no point. Every team but one didn't take him, right? And he ended up landing in a pretty good spot for him. It's a team that some people speculated he was going to be at anyways, and him falling to the 5th round.
That's not a good spot for him.
That is a good spot for him.
No, it's a terrible spot for him.
Okay.
It's a quarterback room that's got 4 other quarterbacks
Yeah, that he can beat out for a starting job, Dan. Deshaun Watson is not going to be there. Joe Flacco is injured every time. There's 2 rookie quarterbacks. He could win a starting job. He could get significant playing time
The reason it's not a good spot is because you heard his father say, if he goes to Cleveland, we're going to Eli the situation. It's not where we want to be.
Okay, but his father, it was proven, didn't have that power.
I'm just telling you that it's not a good spot when that's how they're viewing it.
I mean, that quote is old too. That wasn't like from yesterday or over the weekend. So I mean, and
you guys are going to have some trouble naming Brown skill position players that aren't Chubb, who's broken, or Njoku, who is shirtless. Like you guys are gonna have some trouble. You guys are making the reason that this is a bad spot for Sheduer to go in the 5th round beyond money is because you get so many fewer opportunities when the situation is like what you were saying with Dayball. People are not going to give the 5th round pick a whole lot of chances when they've invested a lot of money elsewhere.
But he's not a typical 5th round pick. He's a 1st or 2nd round talent that fell to the 5th round that they were able to steal.
Hey, you in the audience, it's Mike. You've been a fan of this show, hopefully, for a long time, and you know how much Miller Lite means to me. This partnership, it's real. It's documented. For almost 20 years, Miller Lite has been a partner of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, and now Miller Lite is celebrating its 50th anniversary. I've had so many great moments with Miller Lite, so many great activations, so many great events presented by Miller Lite, a great partner. Cheers to them. Cheers to 50 incredible years. And for you at home, you know that Miller time always means a good time. From game night to parties with friends or a special anniversary, celebrating important occasions means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Cheers to 50 years of Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer since 1975. Now's a perfect time to celebrate legendary stories with friends, family, and a great tasting light beer. It's Miller time. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. I am Mike Ryan, and as you know, on this show, I am often touting Game Time because I believe in this product. And as a play-in tournament begins this week, why don't you head on over to Game Time? As a Miami Heat fan, I've got plenty of great experiences with that play-in tournament. A lot of good runs started in this play-in tournament. Might be a little frustrated that they're always in the play-in tournament, but that's a story for another day. The good news is Game Time makes getting tickets to that play-in tournament faster and easier, even for hard-to-get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app may actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. And don't forget about that all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front, with no surprise fees at checkout. And Game Time's got its unparalleled ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Hey there, travelers and dreamers. We all have that dream trip that we've been wishing we could go on. But too often, life just gets in the way, whether it's work, family responsibilities, or, in my case, and I'm sure many of yours, price. But your dream trip doesn't have to stay a dream any longer, because Priceline is here to help you book it with millions of deals on hotels, flights, cruises, and rental cars. That bucket list destination? Yeah, it's a lot closer than you think. You know, I've been wanting to go see the Pittsburgh Pirates for a long time at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. That's like at the top of my list of bucket list destinations of baseball parks around the country. And because I now know about the type of deals that Priceline offers, I may pull the trigger this summer and go see those Pirates. Priceline makes it easy and stress-free to book a flight and a hotel so I can go see my team play live. With millions of travel deals like up to 60% off hotels, I know I'll be able to find great options even when I need to book last minute. So don't just dream about that next trip, book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com to go to your happy price. Actual prices may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Dan Le Batard.
That's how it's going to end. The mailing it in end of the retirement, Chris, go get me this. It's just going to be him coming out and hitting the 1 or 2 notes of that kind of thing, and you know it, and then just giving us finger guns and leaving.
Baby.
You should listen to the Greg Cody Show podcast because that's all we do for 55 minutes a week is just say catchphrases. We even make songs about them. And You Know It is a song. For crying out loud. That's great. Hopefully that's a Suey nominee for Best Song. And you know it, baby, and you know it.
Stugotz.
And you know it, baby, and you know it.
Yeah, is it?
And you know it, baby, and you know it.
Yeah, is it?
And you know it, baby, and you know it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Guys, we've gone about 15 minutes in the show. Can we talk about the phone call now? I've been waiting. We're doing all this serious draft talk like Bill Burr was talking about. But no, man, I want to talk about the prank call. I don't even want to talk about how stupid and how insensitive it was. I want to talk about how the person making the call is the son of an NFL coach. Yeah. How in the hell? And not like an 8-year-old. 21.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. If your name is Jax, are you more likely to get into trouble like this? Because his name is Jax. He is the son of Jeff Ulbrich, the Atlanta defensive coordinator. And apparently this wasn't the only time they did this. I don't know what was dumber, the prank or showing everybody that you were the one responsible for the prank. But if you're going to do the prank, you don't want to do it quietly. You want to get credit for the prank if you're a teenager.
Back in the day, you used to do the prank call for you and your buddy. That was it. You would make the call, you put it on speaker, you'd laugh, haha, look what we did. All of a sudden, now people are doing it for the clout. I mean, I don't like that.
Doing it for the clout, and guess what? 298 million, 300 million Americans could do it for the clout, and it's fine. You know who can't do it? Someone whose dad works in the NFL. You dumb little shit.
Oh, whoa. How much trouble is Jax in with his dad today?
He's out of the will.
Oh, yeah. He should be fired from the family. Seriously. I mean, what he did was literally inexcusable, and there's going to be repercussions there. I don't know what they'll be, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons got fined by the league or something, because this is a serious thing.
Am I making too much of a leap to say it's not just like, hey, man, your dad works in the NFL. That's a bad look on him. It's, where'd you get that phone number from?
Well, I mean, he said an open iPad. When he walked into a room, he saw the open iPad, and then magically Shedeur's number was in there.
So, in that sense, you want to talk about someone getting in trouble. Man, I could tell you stories about the Miami Heat being upset about video coordinators for allowing a playbook, an outdated playbook, to make it out the facility. Brother, you got your iPad just open and your kid went in there and made prank calls off of it? Like, that is next level deep shit, Jeff Ulbrich.
All right, so you're blaming Jeff when you need to blame Jax, unless you're blaming Jeff for the...
I'm blaming him for the open iPad.
For the parenting, okay. Parenting and an open iPad.
He also just got there because he was like the Jets' interim head coach. Like, this isn't a first-year mistake, Jeff. Come on.
So Greg Cody is saying this is a bad, serious thing and there need to be repercussions. And Amin is out here saying, you dumb shit.
Little shit.
Yeah.
I am here to argue on behalf of the prank. I will preface this by saying, obviously cruel and obviously wrong to do. However, as a prank, it's a great prank. It works as a prank. If you're going to give Anthony Davis a show on Max, like, it's cruel, and people got mad on behalf of Shedeur Sanders because they're like, man, he feels bad enough. Don't do that to him when he's down. He's a national laughingstock. It's like piling on someone who's got so much internet shame. You guys wouldn't do that, right? You guys would never do that. Make a bunch of jokes on the internet about somebody who's drowning in internet shame. He's already in the shame. People are already feeling it on his behalf. However, you guys aren't going to argue with me that it doesn't work as a prank. For those of you who don't know what the prank was, someone called Shedeur Sanders and pretended to be the Saints that were drafting him as he fell in the draft. You guys will agree that as a prank, just by definition, that's how a prank works.
Yes.
Yeah. I would put a B on the execution.
Yeah.
I would have, because he does the call and says, but you're going to have to wait a little longer. And then I was like, look, man, I want you to go, if you're going to do this, right? Let's game plan this. Let's go all the way. Yeah. Let's have him like really believe he got drafted by the Saints. Yeah. Let's have a lady call and say, okay, we got to set up your travel. Like, just take it all the way. Let's Nathan Fielder this thing. If we're going to do a prank, let's prank. Let's not do, but you're going to have to wait a little longer.
Nobody cares that Tyler Warren from Penn State was pranked. Nobody cares that Isaiah Bond was pranked. Cooper DeJean was pranked last year. No one cares about any of those, right? This is the only prank we care about? The fourth one of these.
I didn't even know those happened.
Right. This is the one everybody cares about because he's piling on a guy who's going through the worst night of his life.
In fairness, when they did it to him, they didn't know he would fall like 2 days and continue to plummet to the 5th round. It was, I think, a first-round prank, and it's like, all right, he's going to fall to like end of the 1st round, but we got him.
But you know that video doing numbers, right? Oh my God!
Videotaping. I don't understand the video. This isn't a crime, but I don't understand people videotaping felonious activities and putting it on the internet. It's the wildest self-snitching stuff that people do now. That's crazy.
It's doing crazy numbers, Billy. That's why.
Yeah, it's doing crazy numbers. But like, okay, let's just play out how the NFL works, right? So Jeff Ulbrich, he now works for the Falcons. He worked for the Jets. He's like a career NFL coach, assistant coach. He'll go in, he'll be interim head coach, whatever, right?
Name never mentioned on this show before today.
That's not true. He was
interim head coach.
Yeah, he was a Jets interim head coach last year when they fired Robert Saleh.
I don't believe that.
We talked about how sexy he was with his beard last year.
There you go.
He's a good-looking guy.
Now you know it's true.
Yeah.
That was on God Bless Football.
No,
his name has never appeared on this show.
I'm not sure. Anyways, the point is, Jack's his son. Brother, all you have to do is like not do that. And you'll get a job and a career in the NFL. Your daddy's a coach already. Just don't tell yourself messing with famous draft prospects in the middle of a historic plummet, and you'll get a coordinator thing, and you'll work your way up, and then boom, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
But Mr. Gill, I don't want to work in the NFL. I want to be a star. Yeah. The biggest star there is on YouTube and TikTok.
Cody, when you raise your finger, usually you want to talk.
I do. I can't honor this as a great prank until I hear it, because the idea of a 21-year-old imitating Mickey Loomis, who's like my age, it just doesn't. It can't be a good imitation.
Do you guys do old man voice? Can any of you do old man voice? Work on it in quiet and see if you can come up with an old man voice as people who are not old people. And in the interim, allow me to play just Bill Tobin many years ago speaking about Mel Kiper Jr. because I think people know this. Greg, you know this. Whether it's Joel Bucksbaum a million years ago, who was making a living and an identity around, I'm good at analyzing whether young people will become professional prospects. That career and that group of people, an unusual group of people. It's not just because Mel Kiper eats pumpkin pie every day, or he should be jailed for how he eats pizza, which is to scrape all of the cheese off of the pizza.
Oh, that's great. I've done that.
What do you mean that's great?
It's really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Do you trust anyone who scrapes all of the cheese off of their pizza?
My dad does that. But it's more because he wants to do like a low carb thing. I'm like, buddy, if you want to do a low carb, I think, Dan, you've kind of
Get rid of the crust, not the cheese. Your dad doesn't know what carbs are.
He just grabs like the pizza and the pepperoni and the cheese off the top and then eats it. I'm like, bro, you just wasted an entire slice.
Those things don't have the carbs. The carbs are in the crust and the bread.
That kind of thing.
If it's a good pizza, the cheese just falls off. You don't need to take it off. It just falls right off the pie.
Let's listen to Bill Tobin here just tell you many years ago what he thought as an NFL executive of Mel Kiper Jr. and his draft ilk.
One question, Bill. A lot of criticism about not taking a quarterback here. Your response?
Well, we got a guy up there. Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way? I mean, here's a guy that criticizes everybody, whoever they take. He's got the answers to who you should take and who you shouldn't take. In my knowledge of him, he's never ever put on a jockstrap. He's never been a coach. He's never been a scout. He's never been an administrator. And all of a sudden, he's an expert. He's in our papers 2 days ago telling us who we have to take. We don't have to take anybody that Mel Kiper says we have to take. Mel Kiper has no more credentials to do what he's doing than my neighbor, and my neighbor's a postman, and he doesn't even have season tickets to the NFL.
Everybody had an opinion on this. Donald Trump, who will have an opinion whenever there are people gathered having opinions, wandered in and called all NFL owners stupid.
That put people in a corner, right? Where Trump is like, you guys got to draft Sheduer, and it's like, oh, wait. What do we want now?
Emmanuel Acho said that he should go back to college, not really understanding the way the rules work, saying that $6.5 million is what he could get in NIL money at Colorado, whereas the rookie wage scale is gonna hurt. It's going to be a few $100,000.
Well, Trump is still angry at the NFL. Remember that he sued them. He won, but the NFL paid him $1 in that settlement.
Really? I don't think it's inconceivable that he goes back to Colorado. I know it's against NCAA rules.
I'm pretty sure it's completely inconceivable.
I know that it's against NCAA rules, but everything is changing in the NCAA and college football. There's got to be some sort of a path for him to get back to college, and that's why it's being reported, is speculated on by several people, not just him.
But it's not allowed. Billy, usually when you raise your finger, you want to talk.
Yeah, no, I'm confirming that we're talking about Shedeur Sanders because I was so thrown off by this idea. Do you think Shedeur Sanders would want to sign up for that draft night again? Because, again, he landed in a spot where he could end up starting.
Billy continues to say that a Cleveland Browns job is a good job.
They drafted a tight end and 2 running backs. They have Jerry Jeudy. This is a good spot for him. He could start here.
To be fair, the expectations are 0. So all he has to do is have a good camp, and then Deshaun Watson flames out. We all know that.
I don't understand. If he was drafted at number 2 by the Browns, we'd be celebrating it. But the fact that he was drafted in the 5th round by the Browns, it's a different team?
Jerry Jeudy, I am going to have to concede to you because he had a good year last year, even though it felt like Josh Gordon doing that with Brandon Weeden. You have to have a number 1 receiver. Jameis Winston is throwing the ball all over the place. All of a sudden, Jerry Jeudy looks like a number 1 receiver, even though physically he's always looked like a number 1 receiver, and never before getting to Cleveland has he played like a number 1 receiver. You and I can continue to disagree on whether a Cleveland Browns job is a good job. We can continue to disagree on whether having a quarterback room that has Deshaun Watson, Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Gabriel in it, Dylan Gabriel, whether that's too crowded or not.
To be honest, when you got that many quarterbacks, Dan, what do you got?
You don't have any quarterbacks.
They're all beatable.
But
he's not going to be drafted by the Chiefs.
So are the Browns with any of them.
Well, yeah. Okay, but if he would have gone to the Titans a better option for him? The draft, the bad teams are the ones that draft the quarterbacks.
I say that the bad setup for anyone is to be a 5th-round pick in a room where they have 4 quarterback options that aren't you, that they're paying more than you because of how it is that the Dayball thing works out, where people who have their jobs on the line tend to unite with management on going with people who are paid the most or invested in the most or drafted the most or traded the most for or is your guy. And Shedeur's not going to get the kind of reps in the 5 quarterback room that you need in order to win that job or show somebody something.
But it's not going to to end up being a 5 quarterback room. They're going to get rid of some of them. And like your own argument is Shedeur's incredible value right now. You have him locked up for how many years? For what? Like, he's getting paid nothing on this rookie deal. Like, you're incentivized to keep him on your roster.
Yeah, they don't have a starting quarterback. It's not like he's coming in there trying to beat out him, and he's the third guy right away. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if Shedeur Sanders winds up as their starting quarterback. And I think we can all agree that nobody in the NFL right now, certainly nobody coming out of that draft, is more motivated to show how good he is and to put up a middle finger to the NFL.
Let me go over a couple of things here before we move on to other things, because, his pro day did have the showcase of Showtime on it. There were cookies with Deion's logo, a lot of legendary on it, a lot of the word legendary everywhere. And this kind of stuff was planned by Deion's event planner. And then you have this video of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders interacting, and people showing you that they have their biases when it comes to arrogance. They're saying this right here is why Cam Ward goes number 1 and how it is that Shedeur Sanders ends up falling.
Come on, bro, let's make a song. Let's drop one, real shit. I play football. Here we go. Yeah, football. I play football. You ain't got no hobbies outside of that? I play football. That's the only thing I want people to know me as, football player. When they search up Cam Wood, you say American football.
Back in my zone, man, you know I can't stop. I was blue face, I was really with that mop. They said that I was slipping.
That could have been edited out. I don't know why.
We got a little blue face
I don't know why. Just enough to lose our YouTube monetization because we don't edit things correctly.
That one was
just idiotic.
That one wasn't even like the great clip. There's a better clip of them outdoors where they're talking trash, and Cam Ward says, you're getting a water break after one drill, and Sheduer says, I wasn't drinking water. I was taking Gatorade. That shit they pay me for.
Cam Ward, 0-star recruit, because nobody knows anything when it comes to this stuff. 0-star recruit. Like that, to me, that, Greg, was what was most on display with all of this. We think we know something when we don't know shit.
Is particularly at that position, I think. But you mentioned, you compared analyzing racehorses and athletes. Racehorses never give a bad interview. They never betray themselves with their arrogance when they're being vetted for athleticism. Shedeur Sanders did, plainly. People don't want that. They don't want the headphones and the disrespect.
Oh, but stop.
You're not, as Amin said, you're not good enough.
Does Anthony Edwards seem like he's real respectful, wandering around telling everybody at WrestleMania that his penis is bigger than everyone else's? Like, what does respect have to do with anything here?
Dan, Anthony Edwards is one of the very best players. He was a number 1 overall.
Shedeur Sanders is one of the few stars that there are in college football.
Hold on. I'm not talking about stars, man. I'm not talking about marketing here. I'm talking about basketball-wise. Everyone said, that dude's the man. Unequivocally.
I mean, Shedeur Sanders has been told he's the man since he was born. Only until this draft does he think he's not the man.
Dan, I'm telling you that the talent evaluation system had Anthony Edwards as the surefire number 1 overall pick. Not Daddy and my sycophants told me that. Not the internet told me that. The talent evaluation system, right? You can't compare Shedeur Sanders to Anthony Edwards as prospects coming in.
I think the other thing, too, is Anthony Edwards proved that he was him. Shedeur Sanders has been told that he's been him the entire time. When he had him on his team, Travis Hunter, who was that guy that went out and said, I'm going to play both sides of the ball, I'm going to play Heisman-level football, and here we are getting drafted, traded up for in the first round to prove that.
I mean, it's not entirely fair to Sheduer, right? Sheduer is a 5-star recruit out of high school. He got scholarship offers from everybody out there. Every team wanted him in college. To what Dan was saying, Cam Ward was a 0-star recruit. Cam Ward was a 0-star recruit in part because of the scheme that his high school ran. So he wasn't getting the offers because they thought that he was more of a runner than a passer. And then you had Incarnate Ward, who took a chance on him, and then he repaid Incarnate Ward because he signed with them, and then their coordinator goes on to Washington State. He follows them to Washington State, and then he proves that he's a star, ends up in Miami, becomes the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, which he also did because he decided to stay an extra year in college, where last year he wouldn't have been the number 1 pick in the draft. So, like, Cam Ward had it. They didn't see it because of the style of play that they were doing in his high school, but he proved that he was. Sheduer is someone that everybody wanted on their team, and he took a different path by following his dad to Jackson State and then to Colorado.
Also, real quick, like Tony said, Anthony Edwards told us about how big his dick was, up 20 in a playoff game at LA. Not over.
No, he did it at WrestleMania.
No, he did it. No, that was at a playoff game. That was courtside.
He was on the scorer's table.
Yeah, he's on the scorer's table. It was him and Rudy Gobert. He said Rudy's worth 200, and Rudy went like this.
Oh, he did. You got your cotton and glorious bastards.
Let me play some or read some sound to you from, I should say, read some back and forth between LeBron and Rudy Gobert this weekend that I wonder if you guys could ever again be friends with anybody that you had this back and forth with, okay? Just the trash talk that is common in the NFL at every turn, because there is plenty of trash talk everywhere. The back and forth was LeBron went to the referee and said, eject this mother bleeper. He just elbowed me in the head. Rudy Gobert came back at LeBron and called him a soft-ass mother bleeper, and then LeBron said, I will kick the shit out of you. That is an interaction that two human beings, now they don't like each other and haven't liked each other for a while, but if you guys had any of that as an interaction with your friends, you're pretty much done speaking for a while, correct? Like, or a coworker. If you're having that interaction with a coworker and then you have to work again with that coworker, are you still speaking with that person?
Incorrect. I've been in that situation, and then like 5 minutes later, hey, you want to go get a beer? Like, hey, man, that's what dudes do.
Is it? Okay, I've never done that. And like I've never had that exchange with anybody that I intend to have any kind of relationship with after that.
You never called somebody a soft ass MFer?
No,
you never elbowed anybody in the head?
No, I don't do all of that.
If you're friends, you say those exact same words and it comes off totally different, right?
Okay, but the tone and the intent matter. Like, if you're friends and you're just fooling around, yes, these two people were not fooling around. The Lakers are about to have their season extinguished as a 3 seed. Anthony Edwards, the last couple of seasons, is slaying dragons.
But Dan, they're not friends. Why do you keep saying if you're friends, they're friends? Rudy Gobert and LeBron are not even close.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that coworkers interacting in spaces that are even competitive, if we had that exchange, if you saw that exchange right now between two people in our office, that is not an exchange that will then just be forgotten. It's something that's going to linger here in the workplace and in the relationship.
Bad analogy. Better analogy is if it happened between you and Colin Cowherd or you and Dan Patrick. You guys aren't co-workers. You work for different companies, same industry. You should throw an elbow in the back of Dan Patrick's head. Exactly right. And then
they are co-workers.
You're
they share a space. They share a confined space together.
No, they're not co-workers, Dan.
No. They're competitors.
Dan, imagine if you will, we're at a construction site, right? Yeah. And you're building this part, but then here come the HVAC people. Like, I don't work with the HVAC people. I'm just a carpenter here. So, like, if I throw an elbow into the HVAC guy's head, like, it doesn't, how could you do that to your coworker? Like, I don't know this dude, man. I've seen him around because he's on our job site, but that's it.
It's like a lion and a gladiator. Those were not coworkers. Yeah. Those were adversaries. They were in a confined space together, but like they're looking to kill each other.
So the people who are hugging at the end of the games after they've won or lost, teammates sharing jerseys or opponents sharing jerseys, those people aren't coworkers?
No.
All NBA players aren't coworkers?
I don't want to to Billy. Actually, they were coworkers. Afterward, they would go get a beer at the local tavern, the Lion and the Gladiators. Oh, tough one today, huh? Yeah, man. Hey, you want to do me a favor? You want to stop with the spear? Like, I get it. You got to do a show, but come on, man. I'm getting poked.
Who's got the best old man impersonation back there? Who's got the best Mickey Loomis impersonation?
I think we all can give you one.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I'll go first. I need complete silence to get into character. Yeah. Please do not interrupt. Close your eyes, because this is a prank call. You can't see me, right? This is Mickey Loomis here, the GM of the New Orleans Saints. How you doing? That kind of thing.
I mean, that just sounds like you.
Let me give it another crack at it. Hold on.
It doesn't work.
Hold on. Yeah. Let me give another crack at it.
Just go to commercial.
We're going to take you with our next pick right here,
just
man.
Shut his microphone off.
Gotta want to earn, gotta want to learn.
Just shut his microphone off.
Folks, listen up. They're here and they're hot. Get ready, because Jimmy John's is turning up the heat. After years of perfecting the cold sandwich, Toasted sandwiches are finally here. Try one of their 3 all-new toasted creations. The Toasted Chicken Bacon Ranch, all-natural chicken, creamy home-style ranch, applewood smoked bacon, melted provolone, fresh veggies, all on a perfectly toasted French bread. Good God, does that sound delicious. Or the Toasted Roast Beef and Cheddar, premium roast beef, melty cheddar, creamy horseradish sauce, crispy fried onions, fresh veggies, golden toasted French bread. It just keeps getting better. And the Toasted Ultimate Italian, salami, capicola, smoked ham, applewood smoked bacon, melted provolone, shredded Parmesan, fresh veggies toasted to perfection. Or take your favorite Jimmy John classics like the number 9 Italian Nightclub or the number 11 Country Club and get them toasted. Order now at jimmyjohns.com, on the Jimmy John's app, or stop by your local Jimmy John's today.